Hey there, it's Jennifer Cramer Lewis here, and we're talking about sad or mad, and is that bad? If this is the first time you see my face, my name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and I am a best-selling author of 2 books. I'm also a professional speaker and a certified access consciousness facilitator, as well as a certified Right Riches for You facilitator. So if that's the first time that you've heard of access consciousness is a school of thought that includes not only tools and processes to help you know that you actually know. There's also tools and processes to help your body along the journey. And so if you haven't heard of it, I would pop over to www.accessconsciousness.com and check it out. It's made such an amazing difference in my life and the life of many others, including my students. And the students of a whole bunch of other facilitators worldwide. It's now taught in 174 countries around the world. How cool is that? And so the impetus for today is I sent out a survey to some of my clients asking them, hey, what would you like to actually create in your lives? And someone sent a survey back and said, you know what, I've been taking classes and doing a whole bunch of different things in my life, and I just can't seem to get out of sad. Not that that's funny, it's just like, wow, you try so hard to change your life, and you take classes, and you do a whole bunch of things to try to create something different in your life. And what if you just can't? Is that bad? So I thought to myself, well, what kind of facilitation would I offer somebody like that? And one of the things that I thought was, how many myths are there? How many myths are there with, getting rid of sad or getting rid of mad? And the first one that I thought of was, I totally remember having somebody tell me to suck it up. Suck it up, buttercup is what I used to hear. And if that's something that somebody said to you, did that actually make you feel better? Or did it just make you want to punch them in the face? Or did it make you want to run away crying? So it depends on whether you were in the fight part of fight or flight or the flight part of fight or flight. So having a look at that. What does sucking it up really do for anybody? My first impression is that it actually causes a whole lot of disease. People who are fighting their feelings and trying to suck it up, for the sake of their family, for the sake of their work, for the sake of their friends, pretending that they're not feeling what they're feeling because they're trying to suck it up. And this might actually just be a Canadian thing, but I'm welcome to welcome to facilitation on that. So that was something I heard a lot growing up, was that I needed to suck it up. And so if you heard that too, well, congratulations. So when somebody tells you something, here's the tool part. So when somebody says something to you, it's actually just a projection. And so if you've never heard that term projection, it's basically what they would say to themselves if they were acting like you're acting. So not only is it a judgment, it's also a projection. And so when you think about somebody saying something obnoxious to you, what you can do is go, wow, that is such a projection. You can say it in your mind, or you can say, wow, that is such a projection. Read between the lines. And just sit with that. You're like, wow, all of the projections, everywhere somebody's projected that on me, that I need to suck it up. Yeah. So what if you just let that go? What if you let go all of the projections that anybody ever said to you, everywhere you needed to suck it up? Just let that drop off your body. And how cool is that? Yeah. So all of the projections, what if you could just let them go? And I'm asking twice on purpose because some of the projections didn't come off. I can feel it. So have a look at that. And so what's myth number 2? I'd like to talk to you about myth number 2. Myth number 2 is there is an appropriate amount of sad. And after that, you need to stop it. So how funny is that? So what is appropriately sad? And what is inappropriately sad? And how fun is that? So I had a client, well, she's still an ongoing client, and she married the love of her life, and they had kids and a beautiful life together. And he was a big bear of a man, and she always thought he would be around to protect her and look after her and love her, and till death do they part. And of course, it never occurred to her that that would happen when she was like 46 years old. Not cool in her world. And so what about if the love of your life dies? What is an appropriate amount of sad for that? And what if you didn't have to know what the appropriate amount of sad is? And so again, the appropriate amount of sad is a projection. And also there's another tool, if you haven't heard of this one, called interesting point of view. So, you know, for every projection that comes at you that you should behave in a certain way, or you should act a certain way, or there's an appropriate amount of sad or an appropriate amount of bad or mad, it's just an interesting point of view. And so not only are there projections that other people put on us, we have projections on ourselves, and those are called expectations. So what expectations do you have of you with regards to being sad or mad? And how much of the sadness is actually resistance of you? And so just tap into that. Like if you actually allowed yourself to be sad rather than resisting you, then what would happen? And what if you have to just like, okay, I'm quitting my life for the day. I'm just going to be sad today. And then you watch an appropriately sad, I'm going into the tool part. So one, interesting point of view, that you have that point of view, that there's an interesting, or there's a specific amount of sadness that you're allowed to feel. That's appropriate. And then what if you just actually allowed yourself to have a whole day of feeling like crap? And, you know, I mean, you might have to shoo your family away and just allow yourself to feel the sadness and to actually lean into it. And this is one of the tools that I use in my life. If I am feeling sad, you know, I haven't had the world's best life. For those of you who know me, you've heard this story. My 30s were pretty much a shit show. You know, I spent most of them embroiled in a pretty vicious divorce process with my ex-husband. We fought over our kids, and it was not cool. There was a whole bunch of times where I was like, wow, I don't really want to be on this planet. And so in 2010, I came across a radio show, and there was an access consciousness facilitator on there, and she was talking about the tools of access consciousness, and I was like, wow. And so what would it be like if you just allowed yourself to have a whole day of feeling like crap? And watch some movies that you know are sad, and have a whole entire box of tissues, and like maybe have a big bag of Peak Frains and sit there and eat cookies and be sad. What would that do? What if you actually gave yourself permission to feel your feelings? And, you know, just have a look at that. And so the third myth, what's the third myth? So the third myth is that if I actually allow myself to feel my feelings, I will be permanently a train wreck. So true. If you actually allowed yourself to feel your feelings, would you be permanently a train wreck, or would they just actually get felt and processed? And so I'm going to leave you with this. If you actually allowed yourself to feel your feelings and be a train wreck, and be willing to have other people project at you, wow, you're such a train wreck, You know, stop feeling sad. You know, you're a young widow, you can always at least. So if people are at leasting you for your feelings, that's also a projection. So have a look at that. And just be. What if you allowed yourself to just be? And that was one of the things that I didn't know when I was going through all of that, you know, messy divorce and fighting over kids, was that I could just be myself and that would be okay. I was trying to be so perfect all the time. I wanted to be a perfect mother and a perfect employee. And I thought the reason why my marriage didn't work out was because I wasn't a perfect wife. And yeah, so all of the expectations and projections that you have of you with regards to how you're feeling, what if you could just let those go? Would that be okay? And just have a look at that. You know, just tap into your feelings and be like, wow, yeah, some things don't actually work out the way that you expect them to. And would you be willing to step into the feelings so that you can go on the other side of the feelings? And so some of the tools of access consciousness that you can use if you're feeling like this, there's an energetic body process called the bars, and it's just light touch on the head, and it helps sort of almost defragment your brain. So, you know, if you've got too many computer programs open in your brain and, you know, too many tabs open on your brain browser, what happens is it slows things down and it also amplifies the feelings that you're feeling. It's not that you shouldn't be feeling feelings. Of course you're going to feel feelings, but they don't have to actually stop you in your track. You don't have to have that little tickety, tickety, tickety thing waiting for your next program to open up. And so the bars really helps with that. Access consciousness also has tons of body processes. And so if you go to a facilitator who knows how to do the body processes, there's really a lot that can help with the body. And so if you've had, like I had, a pretty traumatic stretch of your life, the body processes help the body get rid of those traumas. And so I had, if you check on my Facebook, I guess a couple, 3 days ago, I had a post on there talking about the scientific proof that trauma that we've experienced gets sort of sucked into our body, and unless we do something about it, we can get stuck in sad. Like I've noticed with my clients that there is an addictive component of being sad. And there's a book called Messages in Water, if you've had a look at that. And so, you know, it says, you know, in layman's terms, obviously, that the highest frequency that the body experiences is the one that gets to rule. And so if you keep going home to Sadville, then that's the frequency. And so what would it be like for you to have the frequency of like fun in your life every day, and the frequency of joy, and the frequency of expectation of having a really great life? And that's not to say that that's something that you can just snap out of or suck it up and it shows up. It doesn't. So there is a doing process of getting yourself out of sad too. And, you know, I mean, this is turning into a bit of an infomercial for Access Consciousness, but, you know, feel free to put some posts in the comments. I will answer every single post. And I've got a couple of invitations for you. So one of them is every week on Monday, that's tomorrow, wherever you are in the world, I go live on Audacious Ask. And so if you look, I'll put it in the comments. And there's an hour of facilitation there. So the first 5 people on the call get one-on-one facilitation with me. And so normally my sessions are $500. And so these sessions that you get on Audacious Ask are complimentary. And people are really, really having fun. This last week, a lady jumped on and she said things are really changing in her world. She hadn't been on a date in 3 years, and she went out on a date with somebody and had an amazing fun time. And so that was really something different for her. And another person on Audacious Ask, she's starting to get some international recognition for her artwork, and she's a very talented artist. And this is something that she just decided to do recently. And so that's super exciting. And people are really changing things. And that's one of the things that I love about what I do, is being the person who asks the questions that help people become more aware that they actually do know, that they know what's right for them. And so that's what these tools of Access Consciousness do. They're empowering tools that people can pick up and use or not pick up and use. It doesn't matter what your faith is. If you have a particular religious practice that you want to keep on practicing, then great. If that adds to your life, keep doing it. And that's another thing. When you're sad, are you including, this is a bonus tip, what are you adding to your life on a daily basis? And so here's the last thing. My homework for you is, if you're interested, I'd love for you to jump on Audacious Ask this week. That's tomorrow. So I will leave a link in the comments. And I would love for you to make a list of 100 things that you would love to experience before you turn 100. And who cares what's on it? And then have a look and ask your body, hey body, which of these things would we like to do? And start making plans. I think, well, in fact, I know that my clients who have experienced grief and depression really do need more things that they're adding to their life. And when they're in the frequency of sad or mad, that's difficult. And so that's a daily practice. And so sometimes working with a coach works. And so this is not really an infomercial for working with me, but I do have some space on my calendar for discovery sessions. Normally they're $99 to come and have a discovery session with me, and that's chock-a-block full of tools. And if you end up working with me, then great. We record the session so you can go back and have a look at it and say, okay, well, these are the things that Jennifer suggested, and I'm going to try them. And for the people who click through, if you click through and it's a dead link, then you'll know that the offer is over. But I do have some room for, I think, probably about 3 or 4 discovery sessions if you are feeling sad or mad and you're done with it. I would love for you to click through and have a look, and yeah, come and chit chat with me. Otherwise, yeah, just have a look at this. What are you adding to your life to increase the frequency of where you're living? If you're living in sad or mad, then what makes you happy? Go do that. And, you know, definitely, if somebody's projecting at you that you need to do or be something different, that's cool, but it's just a projection. And my name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and that has been Sad, Mad? Is that bad? And we'll see you again on the next recording.